Hi guys, welcome to my next tutorial of my concept design through sketching series, where I'm going to discuss tips and techniques related to drawing. So like anything in the world, it makes it easier if you start with the right foundation, and this video discusses those do's and don'ts, if you will. I'll start with paper. So for best results, draw on good quality cartridge paper, at least 120 grams or 140 grams. It's thicker and sturdier than 80 gram printer paper, which is what most people tend to grab when they want to draw. Cartridge paper is also not as smooth as printer paper, adding more resistance to your pencil when it glides over the paper, which is what you want. Then always draw on a cushion of at least 5 or 6 sheets of paper. This makes the drawing surface much softer, rather than drawing directly on a hard surface, like a desk or a table or whatever. It can be compared to driving on a tar road versus a really bad dirt road. I like to draw with this paper pad on a piece of 3mm MDF or hardboard, and then using a crocodile clip to keep it all together. The advantage of this system is you can move around very easily, or you can move the pad around very easily, and there's no spine or binder on the edge, which most sketchbooks have, which can get in the way. And if you draw the way we teach, which is by moving your drawing around, a spine or binder can get very irritating. So onto pencil technique. The way you hold your pencil is probably the single most important aspect to good drawing technique, and it's also where most people tend to fail. You want to hold your pencil about 1/3 of the way up, so not too close to the point, because essentially you should be drawing with your index finger and your middle finger, which is supported by your thumb. Your thumb should almost act as a hinge or an anchor, and the end of the pencil should be supported by your knuckle, or it should rest on your knuckle. When you render, rest the pad of your hand on the paper and render using mostly your fingers. When you draw lines, change this position of your hand so that your wrist is more parallel or flat against the paper rather than the pad of your hand, and make sure you support the end of the pencil in the soft slot between your index finger and thumb. If you hold your pencil too close to the point, you lose control as well as the ability to actually see where and what you're drawing. The biggest difference of pen versus pencil is the adjustment you have to make to the angle with which you hold a pen. Most drawing pens have a felt tip housed in a little steel tube, and only the last little tip of this point is where the ink comes out. So it means the angle of pen to paper needs to be much larger than it would be if you use the pencil. So when drawing with a pencil, you can hold it much flatter against the page, but when you do this with a pen, the ink doesn't come out. You need to hold the pen much more upright, essentially. A fountain pen has its own set of rules. It's great for drawing controlled and rather slow-paced drawing, but it battles to keep up when you start sketching, which is a much faster-paced drawing technique. And sometimes the ink is blotchy, which can easily smudge and ruin the drawing. What is nice is the ergonomic design of some pens, which make them really comfortable to hold. And it makes it really effective when you are doing textures or any sort of controlled line work. A fountain pen sucks as a rendering pen though, as it can't drop the ink fast enough. Felt tip pens are better for rendering, but then it needs to be at least a 0.5 or 0.8 tip. But the best tool for quick rendering is a good old-fashioned graphite pencil. Clutch pencils are also nice, as long as you use one with a 0.9mm lead or a 0.7mm lead, as this is thick enough for most drawing and sketching applications. A 0.5 just tends to be too thin. I draw a lot with my clutch pencil, and I use a 0.9mm lead, either an HB or a B lead. Copic markers work really well with pencil and pen, especially when you add shadows and contrast to a drawing. Both the thick end and the thin tip can be used simultaneously to achieve slightly different results. Alright, so when drawing lines, it's important to always keep your wrist locked and to hinge the movement from your elbow. Place your elbow on your desk and just practice drawing lines over and over in this position. The same applies when rendering. Render with your fingers and keep your wrist locked. Lots of students make the mistake of trying to draw with their wrists, which is difficult to control. Drawing with both hands is a very powerful tool, so what you want to do is limit the drawing of straight lines to two techniques: draw across and draw down, and practice these two over and over until you get the hang of it. Then practice to constantly rotate the page, drawing cubes or whatever it is you want to practice, but try and get the hang of drawing only across and down for now and rotating the page. This is a concept design I did for a small high-felt house in South Africa, and as you can see, I rotate the page constantly and extensively, and I mostly draw across and down. And if you follow only my hand and not look at the drawing, you'll see that it's mostly just down and across. I hope this video has enlightened you a little bit, and go and practice these techniques so that you are adept at these basics before you tackle the next tutorial where I'll be dealing with line work. Thanks. Until next time. Cheers.